The Seoul skyline glittered like a futuristic dream, Gangnam's towers piercing the night sky in neon pink and purple. On the rooftop of one of the city's most exclusive buildings, a glowing blue pool dominated the marble deck, casting ethereal reflections across 15 drunk women dancing to pounding K-pop music. Water beads rained through the air like tiny jewels. Pink and gold decorations shimmered everywhere. Maya, wearing a sash that read bride-to-be, in glittering Korean and English, jumped on a lounge chair with champagne in hand. "Where is he?" she shouted over the music. "We paid extra for the hot one." Her friends laughed and cheered, their voices mixing with the bass that shook the air. The rooftop door opened. A man stepped through, tall with broad shoulders, wearing a crisp white button-down rolled at the sleeves and perfectly tailored black pants. His shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing intricate black tattoos that crawled up his chest. This was Kong Lorenzo Key, though no one at the party knew it yet. Before he could speak, Katie Williams lunged forward and grabbed his wrist. "Finally," she shouted, grinning. "The entertainment is here." She yanked him onto the rooftop with surprising strength for someone balancing in platform heels and holding champagne. Lorenzo barely had time to react. "I think there's been he started. "No excuses," Katie interrupted, not listening. "You're late. We almost asked for a refund." The women screamed and cheered. Someone tried to place a pink cowboy hat on Lorenzo's head. He stepped back sharply, his dark eyes scanning the rooftop like he was calculating threats rather than joining a party. Katie grabbed his hand again. "No escaping now." She pulled him straight toward the pool. "Wait, I need to tell you." Lorenzo tried again. Too late. They both splashed into the shallow end. Water exploded around them. The women went wild, screaming and laughing. Katie surfaced, water streaming from her hair, and splashed Lorenzo deliberately. He stood waist-deep, his expensive suit completely soaked, staring at her like she was the strangest creature he'd ever encountered. "You're supposed to smile," Katie teased. "This is a party." Up close, she noticed details she'd missed in her rush. His sharp jaw, serious mouth, and those deep brown eyes with flecks of gold near the center. He was too handsome, too controlled, too everything. This was not a part-time entertainer. Hi besties, if you're surprised as we all are, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And make sure you're subscribed, love. You don't want to miss what happens next. "You don't look very excited," she said, placing a hand on his chest. "Enthusiasm is important for a paid performance." His chest rose in a slow, controlled breath. "I think there's been a mistake." Katie laughed. "They all say that when they first walk in." "Take the shirt off," Maya shouted from poolside. Katie shrugged and reached for his collar, tugging the soaked fabric open wider. His tattooed chest, dragons, chrysanthemums, geometric patterns that looked expensive and permanent, was revealed. The room erupted. Lorenzo didn't move. He just watched Katie's face with an intensity that made her stomach flip for reasons she couldn't name. Before she could say anything else, the music cut off. Silence slammed onto the rooftop like someone had unplugged the world. Katie blinked, confused. The DJ stood frozen, hands up, looking terrified. Maya's face went white. Every woman on the rooftop turned toward the entrance. Men in black suits flooded onto the rooftop from 3 different doors. 8, 10, 12 of them, all wearing earpieces, all moving with military precision. Katie's heart dropped into her stomach. She turned slowly back to the man in the pool. He was still watching her, water dripping from his hair, expression unreadable. One of the bridesmaids whispered, voice shaking, "Oh my God, that's Kong Lorenzo Key." Katie's blood turned to ice. Everyone in Seoul, every tourist, every local, every person who'd spent more than 2 days in Gangnam, knew that name. Kong Lorenzo Key. Billionaire, hotel owner, real estate mogul, political influencer, and rumored to have ties to organized crime so deep that even the police didn't ask questions. Katie was standing in a pool with him. She'd grabbed him, splashed him, undressed him. She scrambled backward in the water, nearly slipping on the pool's slick bottom. "Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I swear we didn't know. I thought you were. We ordered. Not that we ordered you. Oh my God. Please stop me from talking." Much later that night, 62 floors above the chaos, Lorenzo sat in his private office watching security footage on a wall of monitors. His white shirt was still damp, hair tousled from the pool. On screen, he watched the moment Katie grabbed his wrist, the moment she smiled at him, the moment she pulled him into the pool like he was nobody. Park Min-jae, his sharp-featured right-hand man, stood beside him looking uneasy. "Boss, why are you watching this again?" Min-jae asked. Lorenzo didn't answer right away. He zoomed in on Katie's face, frozen mid-laugh, bright eyes sparkling, hand pressed against his chest. "Find everything about her," Lorenzo said quietly. Min-jae blinked. "Everything. Name, work, background, where she's staying, who she came here with. Everything." Min-jae shifted uncomfortably. "You think she's connected to the problem downstairs?" "I don't know," Lorenzo said, eyes still on the frozen image. "But I need to know who she is." Min-jae nodded and left the room. Lorenzo stared at the screen. For the first time in years, someone had touched him without fear, without calculation, without knowing who he was. And now, whether she knew it or not, she was part of his world. Katie woke with a pounding headache and a memory so humiliating she wanted to fake her own death. For a few seconds, she stared at the unfamiliar ceiling of her hotel room, listening to the muffled sounds of Seoul traffic outside. Then everything hit her at once. She had pulled a mafia boss into a pool. She had splashed him. She had undressed him. "Oh no," Katie whispered, covering her face with a pillow. Her phone lit up with messages from the group chat. Maya said, "Girl, are you alive?" Jessica replied her. "I still can't believe you climbed him like that." Maya again. "He didn't look mad though. He looked entertained." Katie groaned and typed back, "Stop. I've embarrassed myself enough." A soft knock at the door made Katie freeze. "If that's Kong Lorenzo Key, I'm jumping out this window," she muttered. She tiptoed to the door and looked through the peephole. Two men in dark suits stood in the hallway. One of them held a tablet. Katie's blood ran cold. She opened the door a crack. "Can I help you?" The man with the tablet smiled politely. "Miss Katie Williams?" "Yes. Mr. Key would like to speak with you. Privately." Katie's knees went weak. "Can I say no?" The man's smile didn't waver. "Mr. Key insists. He said it's not optional." "Oh, great," Katie muttered. "Mafia boss summons me before breakfast." Exactly what I needed. They brought her to a private elevator that required a key card. The elevator descended, then ascended. Katie lost track, until it opened into a quiet hallway lined with dark wood and soft recessed lighting. This wasn't part of the hotel open to guests. The guard gestured to a large door at the end of the hall. "Mr. Key is inside." Katie's heart hammered as she stepped through. Lorenzo stood by a floor-to-ceiling window, hands in his pockets, looking out over Seoul's sprawling skyline. He wore a dark shirt with the sleeves rolled to his forearms, revealing more of those intricate tattoos. Hi. About last night," Katie started. "Sit," he said without turning. His voice wasn't rude. It was controlled. Calm. Too calm. Katie sat in the leather chair across from a massive glass desk. Lorenzo finally turned toward her. He looked different without the chaos of pool lights and screaming women. Serious. Focused. Still intimidating, but in a quieter way that made her chest tighten. "I wanted to make sure you weren't harmed," he said. "Your friend's party was unusual." "That's one word for it," Katie mumbled. He sat across from her, leaning back slightly, studying her with those intense dark eyes. Katie Williams, 26, marketing assistant, lives outside Denver. First time in Seoul. No known connections to organized crime. Katie blinked. How do you know all that?" "I had someone check," he said simply. "Check? Like, investigate me?" "Yes." Her jaw dropped. "Because I accidentally pulled you into a pool?" His lips twitched, like he wanted to smile but stopped himself. "Because you pulled me into a room full of drunk women while there was a potential threat in my building." Katie stared at him. "That's not my fault. I thought you were the entertainment. I noticed. You didn't correct me. I tried. You were too confident." Katie felt heat rise in her cheeks. She looked away, embarrassed. "Okay, I get it. I messed up. It was stupid. It was unexpected," he corrected. "That's different." Katie's heart skipped. Before she could respond, the door opened. Min-jae stepped inside and handed Lorenzo a tablet. "We found something," he said quietly. Lorenzo's expression sharpened. He tapped the screen, then turned the tablet toward Katie. A photo. Grainy, taken from a distance with a high-zoom lens. It showed Katie and Lorenzo by the pool last night. From the angle, it looked intimate, like they were close, like they mattered to each other. Katie's stomach twisted. "Where did you get this?" Min-jae answered. It was on the phone of a man we detained last night. He's connected to a rival group. Katie's breath caught. Why would someone take a picture of me? Lorenzo's gaze didn't leave her face. Because you were seen with me. But I don't even know you. They don't know that, he said quietly. All they know is what they saw. And what they saw is enough. Min-jae added. These people notice everything, Miss Williams. They could have seen you with him and misunderstood the situation. Katie leaned forward. Misunderstood what? Lorenzo didn't blink. They think you matter to me. That makes you a target. Her heart pounded. A target? I don't even live here. I'm leaving in 3 days. You're not leaving, Lorenzo said. Katie stood abruptly. Yes, I am. I have a job. A life. Bills. Lorenzo rose from his chair, and she suddenly remembered how tall he was. How still. How controlled. You will stay here until I understand why your photo is in the wrong hands, he said softly. If you leave, I can't protect you. I don't need protection. You do now. Katie clenched her jaw. Why are you doing all this? Because I embarrassed you. Lorenzo stepped closer, and his voice dropped. Katie, you pulled me into that pool. You put your hands on me. You treated me like I was nobody. His gaze locked onto hers. And now someone has your picture. Forgive me if I don't believe that's a coincidence. Katie's breath caught. You think this is connected? I think someone saw you with me, he said. And if they believe you matter to me, they will try to use you. Matter to you? She repeated. His expression didn't change. People make assumptions. Katie wanted to argue, but fear mixed with something she didn't want to name. A strange awareness in her chest that had nothing to do with terror. Lorenzo stepped back. I'm assigning you a suite on a restricted floor. You'll stay there until I say otherwise. And what if I refuse? He stared at her with a calm that felt more dangerous than shouting. You won't. She exhaled shakily. You can't just trap me here. I'm not trapping you, he said quietly. I'm protecting you. That's the same thing. No, he said. Trapping you would mean I benefit from keeping you close. Protecting you means I'm responsible for you being in danger. Those are not the same. Katie didn't know what to say. A guard appeared in the doorway. Mr. Key, we need you downstairs. It's urgent. Lorenzo nodded once. He looked at Katie. Go with Min-jae. Stay in the suite. Do not wander. Do not leave. She crossed her arms. I don't like being ordered around. That's fine, he said, walking past her. But you're still doing it. He left the room with 2 guards in tow. Katie spent the rest of the day in the luxurious suite Lorenzo had assigned her. Clean, spacious, silent, a gilded cage with a view of the city. She paced, showered, reorganized her suitcase, reorganized it again, gave up. Her phone buzzed with messages from Maya asking if she was okay. Katie replied that she was fine, just stuck in a suite. She didn't mention that a criminal might think she was important to a man she met 12 hours ago. That part sounded insane even in her own mind. As the sun started to set, Katie walked toward the window, trying to calm her breathing. But across the street, in a dimly lit building, a faint glimmer caught her eye. A reflection. A lens. Someone was watching her window. Katie stepped back instinctively, heart racing. She grabbed the phone Lorenzo had left for her and typed a message to Min-jae. Someone is watching the window from the building across the street. I saw a reflection. Maybe a camera. Min-jae's reply came instantly. Stay away from the window. Lock the door. Do not move. Katie backed away slowly, pressing her spine against the wall, suddenly aware of how exposed she'd been standing there. Minutes later, she heard footsteps outside. The door burst open. 3 men rushed inside. 2 guards and Lorenzo. He scanned the room immediately, eyes sharp and dangerous. Katie, are you hurt? She shook her head. I just saw something. I don't know. Something was pointed at the window. Lorenzo walked to the glass, observing the building across the street with narrowed eyes. His jaw tightened. Min-jae handed him a phone. Boss, you need to see this. Lorenzo looked at the screen. Katie stepped closer, trying to see. It was another photo. This one showed her sitting on Lorenzo's lap from last night, captured from a different angle, likely from one of the rival's devices or surveillance. And under it, a message in Korean. Min-jae translated, voice grim. She is a good weakness. Lorenzo's expression darkened like a storm rolling in. Katie's breath caught. A weakness. Me. The room felt colder. Lorenzo didn't look at her at first. He stared at the photo like it was a threat carved in stone. Then he finally turned his eyes to her. They were not calm, not curious, not amused. They were lethal. "We're leaving Seoul," he said. Katie blinked. "What?" "This building is compromised. Someone got close enough to take this photo. They were inside my property, or they have equipment I didn't account for." He lifted the phone slightly. "Either way, you're not safe here." "Us," Katie echoed softly. Lorenzo's voice was sharp. "They think hurting you would hurt me." Katie's chest tightened. "But we don't know each other." "They don't know that," he said. "They only know what they saw." A guard stepped forward. "Boss, we can secure this floor. Reinforce the windows." "No." Lorenzo's tone left no room for argument. "I'm not keeping her here another night." Katie pointed to herself. "I can leave. I can go home." "I don't need." "You're not going home," Lorenzo interrupted. She stared at him. "You're not serious." "I'm very serious." His gaze pinned her in place. "If you return to Denver, they will find you before I do." The directness in his tone made her chest feel heavy. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered. "I know," he said. "But it's still happening." He turned to Min-jae. "Prepare transport. 1 hour. We're going to the estate." Min-jae nodded and disappeared. Katie shook her head. "I can't just leave the country. I have a job. Responsibilities." "You won't have a job if you're dead," Min-jae called from the hallway. Lorenzo shot him a warning look. Katie pressed a hand to her forehead. "This is insane." Lorenzo stepped closer. "Katie, I'm not negotiating this. You're safer with me than anywhere else." She looked up at him, suddenly aware of how close he was. "Why do you care this much?" His jaw tightened. "Because I'm the reason they noticed you." Her breath caught. He turned away before she could respond. "Pack what you need. You're coming with me." 2 hours later, Katie found herself in a convoy of black SUVs, leaving Seoul's glittering skyline behind. The city faded into mountains. The roads grew narrower. Trees crowded both sides of the highway, their branches forming a canopy overhead. Katie sat in the back seat, staring out the window. Lorenzo sat beside her, one arm resting along the seat, body angled slightly toward her, as if shielding her even here. Night had fallen completely. The darkness outside felt oppressive. Lorenzo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then his expression changed, hardened into something cold and calculating. "What is it?" Katie asked quietly. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he showed her the screen. Another message. Another photo. This one was different. It showed Katie standing at the window of her suite earlier today, before she'd noticed the surveillance. The angle was perfect, clear, professional. But it was the text underneath that made Katie's blood run cold. "We know where you're taking her. See you soon." Katie's hands trembled. "How do they know where we're going?" Lorenzo's jaw clenched so hard she could see the muscle jump. He looked at Min-jae in the front seat through the rearview mirror. "Stop the car," Lorenzo said, voice deadly quiet. "Boss." Min-jae glanced back, confused. "I said stop the car." The convoy came to a halt on the dark mountain road. Lorenzo's guards immediately exited their vehicles, hands on their weapons, scanning the treeline. Lorenzo turned to Katie, his expression unreadable, but his eyes burning with something she couldn't name. "Katie," he said quietly, "I need you to trust me." "I do," she whispered. "No matter what happens in the next few minutes," he continued, reaching out to cup her face gently. "Know that I will not let them take you. Do you understand?" Before she could answer, headlights appeared in the distance behind them. Multiple vehicles. Moving fast. Too fast. Min-jae cursed and reached for his weapon. "Boss, we need to move now." Lorenzo pulled Katie closer, shielding her with his body as the approaching vehicles grew closer, their headlights cutting through the darkness like knives. Katie's heart raced. She clutched Lorenzo's jacket, feeling his heartbeat thundering against her palm. "Who are they?" she whispered. Lorenzo's voice was ice. "The people who think you're my weakness." The vehicles were 50 meters away. 40, 30, and then they stopped. Doors opened. Dark figures emerged, silhouetted against the headlights. Katie counted at least 10 men, all armed. One figure stepped forward, illuminated just enough for Lorenzo to see his face. Lorenzo went absolutely still. "Who is it?" Katie asked, terrified. Lorenzo's voice was barely a whisper, laced with disbelief and rage. "Someone who should be dead." The figure raised a hand in greeting, his smile visible even from a distance. And then he called out, voice carrying across the mountain road. "Hello, Lorenzo. Did you miss me?" Lorenzo's entire body tensed like a coiled spring about to snap. Katie gripped his arm. "Lorenzo, who is that?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. Because the man standing in front of them was someone from his past. Someone he'd trusted. Someone who'd betrayed him years ago. Someone he thought he'd killed. The man took another step forward, into the light. And Katie saw his face clearly for the first time. He was smiling. Katie and Lorenzo reached the secluded estate, where their connection deepens into something neither can deny. But when evidence surfaces suggesting Katie leaked their location, Lorenzo must choose between his heart and his survival instincts. And when that choice tears them apart, Katie finds herself in the hands of enemies who know far more about her past than she does. If you felt even a whisper of fear and softness tangled together in their last moment, keep holding on. Episode 2 opens with their hearts still racing. Kindly comment when I should drop the next episode. Also make sure you subscribe. Love you all.